I have a story, like everybody else. Um, but I think my story is unique enough that it bears recording, putting somewhere for other people to learn from. And um, I've outlived my people. So I think what I want to do is I want to put some of my lessons learned out onto the internet and into the ether, and you know, however this crazy universe works, I think will whoever needs to find it will find it. Um, so I'm the poster child for metaphysical experiences. Um, if you think about metaphysics, I don't know, I guess a lot of things can come to mind. Sometimes I've heard people say meta-human experiences or transpersonal psychology. But anyway, just to cut into it here, my personal experience began at 9 years old with seeing ghosts, and saw the ghost of my grandfather, who was my caregiver slash babysitter growing up, and also his sister Mary, um, my great aunt, who also passed away. They were very close together. But that was 9. At 14, I bought a box of books at a garage sale, and one of the books was a book on an astral projection by Robert Monroe. And I was too young to know what science was science and what science was fringe. And so I just, took the book as gospel. Oh, this is what people can do. Okay, well, let me read it and see what I can do with it. So at 14, I started astral projecting to friends' houses and to my grandparents, who lived a couple towns away, just to pop in, check on them, see what was going on. Then at 21, I was working in not one but 2 haunted houses as a tour guide, docent, party coordinator. And the things got so bad, or good, depending upon your perspective, that I was constantly getting harassed. So one of the members of the campus police department's wife was a psychic medium. And so I gave her a tour of the campus, and then she gave me a tour of the campus based on what she saw. So she taught me psychic self-defense to kind of get the things to leave me alone. I'd say it's pretty empowering to, after being pushed around for a year or so, to be able to push back in that realm. So at 29, then I was introduced to Reiki. I had a very problematic ankle that Western medicine wasn't addressing, and so I figured, let's give it a crapshoot and see what happens. Reiki not only was effective, but during a Reiki session that also had aromatherapy and sound therapy, I had 4 spontaneous past lives bubble up. So double whammy that day. I since, have gone on to become a Reiki practitioner. I've been a Reiki master since 2009. And I think all told, I think I've been at it maybe 22 years. But anyway, at 39, then I had my near-death experience. Basically got pneumonia that got, super infected, lung shut down, kidney shut down, heart tried to stop. But while I was in a medically induced coma, I was also wandering around my room and hovering above my bed and hearing family members and doctors and nurses when they would come in and talk. The year after that, it was kind of like I had new hardware installed. Same old meat suit, but different operating system. Then I was able just to connect to stuff. Had some really weird stuff with like walking down the street and having lights, street lights. It was nighttime. I'd walk under a street light and the street light would go off. And after I got 10, 20 feet away from it, it'd turn back on again. But yeah, so my near-death experience was 39, so 40 would have been when I discovered a book called, it says MAP on the front of it, but it's the Medical Assistance Program. And it's basically reaching out to people who were formerly human, maybe you want to call them ascended masters, but they're just people. They're just people who died, and instead of ascending, they decided to do a U-turn and try to help some folks that are still here. Then 2 years later, at 42, I was working as an oncology, hematology nurse, and I had a couple of patients pass away on me. And during their passing, I had what I would call a shared near-death experience. It's kind of like I had vertigo and kind of went up the tunnel with them a little bit to kind of escort them as like 1/3 of the way, and then their family members came the other 2/3 and whisked them up. Then had a little gap, but 48 years old was when I moved to Durham, North Carolina, and discovered that there is a place here that kind of filled both questions that I had going on. It was a building that housed IANS, the International Association of Near-Death Studies, and the Rhine Research Center. And they've been doing transpersonal psychology experiments before it was transpersonal psychology. Duke actually had a school of parapsychology, I think, from the late 20s to the early 70s. And all of that research didn't go away, it just went private. But I got my my first round of official consciousness shifting in remote viewing, where you actually have a handler and someone's giving you instructions, whereas doing it by yourself is astral projection. But after remote viewing training, then I had a medical issue that required me to have IV version of a drug called ketamine. And when I had that, then I was introduced to an interdimensional space where beings exist, like in between. Maybe another way to explain it, if reality is a mansion and there's all these different rooms within a mansion for you to have different experiences, the interdimensional space would be the hallway. It's not a here or a there, it's an in-between. But yet there's an entire reality and subset of physics and expectations there. So yeah, that's it's been my experience, at least in metaphysics. And I got some other stuff too that kind of fits into other realities and such. But normally you would like pass this on to, a brother or sister or kids or friends or whatever, but it's just too weird. I've talked to pastors. I've talked to clinicians and psych doctors. I've even talked with other people who are into metaphysics, and it's funny. It's like, they'll believe in ghosts but not UFOs, or they'll believe in psychic self-defense against demons, but they won't believe in remote viewing. And it's just funny to me that why would you set yourself the limitation of what is and is not possible? Frankly, I think the universe is like a holodeck from Star Trek. And as long as you know the programming and know what to put in, then you know what to get out, or what you should be getting out. So anyway, really haven't decided what I want to call this yet. Some different things have kind of rolled through my head. One title I thought of was Smoke and Beers instead of Smoke and Mirrors. Another one I thought was My Weird Uncle John. By the way, my name's John. Not trying to get too hung up on that. I had so one of the things I've done in my normal life is I took my oncology background and my Reiki background and my wound care background from nursing, put them all together and created an organic skin cream for people who are in outpatient radiation therapy. And it's done pretty well. It pays for itself. But like many things, COVID has corrupted or challenged. That was one of them. So it's still around, but it doesn't nearly have the traction and scope that it had earlier. But I had a multi-millionaire entrepreneur hear my pitch, and the long and the short of it was, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. And I didn't understand it at first because I wanted perfection. And it was like, but what about this? And what about this? And it's like with a skin cream, I just wanted to get it in people's hands. I want them to try it. And so I went out and got these little plastic condiment dispensers, or cups, little plastic cups to hold it. And instead of putting ketchup in it, I was putting a dollop of my cream in there and asking people to try it. And on one hand, it's like you never get a second chance at a first impression. But if you wait for perfection, it'll never occur. Because if you're a perfectionist, it never occurs. So one of the sayings I picked up along the way was, look, we're not going to Mars. I've got a friend of mine who is a rocket scientist, and I think that's probably something she would say, or something that Elon Musk would not say. By God, we are going to Mars. Anyway, so that's kind of what this video is. It's me quelling the psychic nudges that I get and doing something, getting it out there. I don't have a name for it. I don't know what to call it. I don't know exactly where it's going to go. I think it's kind of a data dump for me to get some of these La Vida Loca stuff out of my head and into the world. And then we'll let the world decide what it is and what to do with it. And that's kind of a dubious thing to say, because when I came back after my near-death experience, like most folks that come back after a near-death experience, they feel compelled to share their experience and also to try to make the world a better place. And it's kind of like your old beater laptop. If someone comes in and they bring in, 4 or 5 generations away, it's like being in 2001 and someone from 2021 takes your computer, swaps out the motherboard, and puts in, the latest version that's going now. But it still looks like a beater. It's still as heavy as a brick. It's still, looks like it's running Windows 95, but it's not. So I think a lot of people, when they have their near-death experience, they have this new software, but they still look like the same person on the outside. And I think maybe sometimes family, friends, and coworkers and whatever, they still see the old version. They don't realize you've had an upgrade. When you try to tell them about it, here he goes again. He's proselytizing. Good God, we can't have that. Excuse the pun. So yeah, just a quick rundown. So seeing ghosts at 9, astral projection at 14, psychic self-defense at 21, Reiki and past lives at 29, 39 was my NDE. A little more on that later, but basically went to heaven, met God. God was really George Carlin. George Carlin gave me a tour of the universe and explained how everything worked. Then for some reason I had a cap on some of that knowledge. And so that was in 2005. And in 2011, the rest of it downloaded. And it turns out that while I was there, I became music. Music was really my first language growing up. English and German, but then I was singing, and I've just been singing since I was 6 years old. So the fact that I became music isn't a surprise to me, but this is a surprise to others. So yeah, 39 the NDE, 40 was the MAP, 42 was the shared NDEs, 48, 49 remote viewing, and 51 was the ketamine and yada yada. So with all that being said, I think I've got a running start at this. I think maybe my next video will be about just life without the metaphysics, because that's pretty weird too. But hey, we're all a summation of the lenses we collect. So I want to make sure that I share my lenses that I've acquired over 52 years, 54, good Lord, 54 years, that make me who I am, make me see what I see. And hopefully other people will come behind me and see those things too, because it's really an amazing experiment that's going on here. Multi-level, multifaceted, multi-dimension. I hate to sound like little drummer boy, but if you could only see what I see, it's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, smoking beers, Weird Uncle John, whatever. Whoever's out there in the ether, thank you for paying attention and listening. I'll have more stuff for you later. Bye.